Sharon will have good news for Mariah and Faith, as she remembers through hypnosis that she was not responsible for Heather's death. For Sharon, this is not only a relief, but also a ray of hope in the midst of dark days. When Faith and Mariah hear all of Sharon's latest hypnotic memories, they can't help but breathe a sigh of relief. For them, this is like a Christmas miracle that has come just in time. However, Sharon still can't be completely at ease. She worries to her children that the real killer is still at large, and that this could threaten the safety of those around them. Sharon is especially worried about Daniel and his family, as she feels they could be dragged into this dangerous spiral. Nick Newman, who has always been Sharon's support during difficult times, thinks that the first Christmas celebration they have since losing Heather should not be ruined. He stressed that the family needed time to heal and enjoy the moment together. Although things were not over yet and they needed evidence to find out who was really behind this crime, Sharon felt much more relieved to know that she was not guilty. That feeling of relief sparked in Sharon a desire to decorate for Christmas. With his spirit lifted, Nick quickly ran and brought back a large Christmas tree. The whole family, including Nick, Mariah, Faith and Tessa, decorated the tree together, creating a festive atmosphere filled with laughter and joy. However, that joy did not last long when Phyllis Summers suddenly appeared, bringing with her a breath of tension. Phyllis, as usual, did not care about the time or the situation. Although everyone tried to keep the atmosphere from breaking, Phyllis was still determined to mention the information she heard from Michael Baldwin. She bluntly demanded a clear answer from Sharon. Feeling cornered, Sharon finally blurted out that she was wrong. She declared to everyone that she was not the killer. "I didn't kill anyone," Sharon said, her voice trembling but determined. "Someone else killed Heather that night." Phyllis, as expected, was skeptical. She didn't believe Sharon so easily and kept insisting that things weren't that simple. "How can I trust you?" Phyllis asked, her eyes sharp. The atmosphere in the room became heavy. Although Nick, Mariah, Faith, and Tessa all tried to talk Phyllis out of an unnecessary confrontation, the situation had become tense. Sharon, though feeling wronged, also realized that Phyllis' suspicion was inevitable. It didn't stop there. Phyllis's appearance had shattered the warm Christmas atmosphere, and her words made Sharon realize that she needed to act. Without finding evidence to clear her name and expose the real killer, it will never end. In the twinkling lights of the Christmas tree, Sharon senses that her journey to find the truth has only just begun. Phyllis is not one to be easily convinced, and her reaction comes as no surprise to anyone in the room. Tensions rise as Sharon tries to explain that she doesn't have the full memory to point to the real culprit, but the fragments of her memory have convinced her of her innocence. Nick, on Sharon's side, tries to intervene. He stresses that this is not the time to continue questioning and hurting each other. "We've both lost Heather," he says, "and now the important thing is to find out the truth, not blame." Phyllis, however, is not so easily swayed. She leaves a stern warning before she leaves: if Sharon didn't kill Heather, then she needs to prove it. "Don't make me find out the truth myself." A new resolve. After Phyllis leaves, the atmosphere in the house becomes heavy. Sharon, though relieved to have admitted the truth, still can't shake the worry about the real killer. The joy of Christmas is overshadowed by the fact that the investigation is not over. But instead of letting fear rule her, Sharon decides that she won't let Phyllis' suspicions get the better of her. "I'm going to find out the truth," Sharon insists, her eyes shining with determination. Nick, Faith, and Mariah all promise to support her on this journey. Christmas at Sharon's house isn't quite complete, but the pieces of the truth are starting to come together. Though there are still challenges ahead, Sharon finds strength in her family. They will continue to fight to clear her name and uncover the mystery of Heather's death. In the world of the young and the restless, the fight for truth and justice is never easy. But it's moments like these that make the story so compelling, where faith, love, and determination always triumph over the deepest darkness. Young and the Restless spoilers next week reveals that Lauren Fenmore never thought she would have to face such shocking revelations from her husband, Michael Baldwin. When Michael updates her on Sharon Newman's hypnotic memories, Lauren can hardly believe her ears. Sharon has remembered something important, a detail that she believes suggests someone else was in the apartment the night of the murder. This opens up a new direction in the case, and Lauren believes that Michael, with his abilities, will find the truth to protect Sharon. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers is not one to be easily convinced. When she hears rumors about the real killer, suspicions immediately flare up in her. Not one to stand aside, Phyllis quickly butts into Lauren and Michael's conversation, declaring with certainty that Sharon is the culprit. She did it, Phyllis insists, not even giving Michael a chance to explain. Michael, with his calm and confident personality, tried to explain that this was not a matter of favoritism or trying to save Sharon. "I'm not making this up to get Sharon out of trouble," Michael said, "I'm simply following the evidence. And the police have been informed of this." Michael's words made Phyllis even more nervous, especially when he hinted that Daniel and Lucy Romalotti might need to be protected. This made Phyllis explode. "They need to be protected from Sharon," she shouted. For Phyllis, everything revolved around Sharon being the main threat. Lauren, trying to calm the situation, told Phyllis that there were many details of the case that she didn't know. "There are things going on that you don't know about, Phyllis." Michael was right, maybe Sharon isn't who we think she is. But Phyllis wasn't so easily convinced. With a sharp look in her eyes, she pulled up a chair and asked Michael to tell her the truth. Michael, still withholding important information, only revealed that there was new evidence that made things suspicious. He didn't want to compromise the investigation by revealing too much too soon. Michael's hints were too much for Phyllis to bear, and she finally stormed off. Her emotions were torn between suspicion and fear, leaving Phyllis unable to think of anything other than that Sharon was still a danger. After Phyllis left, Lauren turned to Michael. "Do you think Sharon is really innocent?" she asked, her voice filled with doubt and concern. Michael looked at Lauren, his eyes showing certainty but also a hint of concern. "I don't know for sure, but it's worth investigating. If there were other people in the apartment that night, it might change everything." Lauren nodded, though she still couldn't dispel her doubts. All she could do was put her faith in Michael's abilities and hope that the truth would eventually come out, but she also knew that with Phyllis around, things would never be easy. Phyllis always had a way of making things more complicated. As Lauren left, Michael sat alone in the quiet room. In his mind, the pieces of the case began to come together. Sharon's memories might be the key, but he also knew that he needed to find more evidence to back up her story. And more importantly, he needed to protect everyone involved, not just Sharon, but Daniel and Lucy as well. He knew that if he didn't clear up the case, the suspicion and hatred between everyone would only grow. Outside, Phyllis walked with unconcealed anger. She knew that Michael was hiding something, and that made her unable to stand still. In her heart, Phyllis was determined to find the truth in her own way. And if that means confronting Sharon Newman herself, she's willing to do it. The story becomes more complicated as the characters confront each other, each with their own motives and perspectives. Sharon is at the center of a storm where truth and lies collide, and only time will tell who is really behind all of this.